Practice test number one, the listening part. So guys, what we are going to have in the listening part is pretty straightforward, to be honest. You're going to have three conversations, and again, you're going to have three lectures. All of your conversations are going to be campus-based. It means that a student is talking with a librarian, a student is talking with a professor, a student is talking to a student about an issue. All the time, you're starting your listening part with a conversation. So there are a couple of things that is very important about the listening part that I think that it's useful for us to mention it right now. There are two types of students on TOEFL exam related to the listening examination, in fact. One type of the student, they love to take notes. They are comfortable with taking notes. They answer the questions much better when they are taking notes. If you are one of those students, you have to take notes. On the exam as well, they are going to give you some papers that you can take notes on those ones. But there are a couple of students, there are, let's say, another type of a student that they don't like taking notes. When they are taking notes, they are actually missing a lot of information. So if you are one of them, do not take notes. This is something pretty much personal, and you have to experience it yourself. My advice for you is that please, with one of the conversations and one of the lectures, try taking notes, and with one of the conversation or the lectures, try not to take notes and see in which one you're going to have a better result. About the duration of the conversations or the lectures, I can say that your conversations is going to be around, let's say, 3 minutes. Your lectures are going to be around 5 to 6 minutes. So it's a very long one pertaining to the lectures. Your lectures can be about botany. Your lectures can be about science, can be about business, astronomy, or many, let's say, other topics as well. All of the lectures is about a professor talking about something that 99% of the time you don't know about that one. So you have to be ready for those ones. And you have 3 lectures and 3 conversations, as I said that. So in this part of our video, we are actually going to work on conversation 1 on practice set number 1, and I'm going to explain all of the questions for you, what type of questions we are going to have and how we are going to deal with these kind of questions. So let's listen to the conversation.
Listen to a conversation between a student and a business professor.
Thanks for seeing me, Professor Jackson.
Sure, Tom. What can I do for you?
I'm going to do my term project on service design, what you see as a customer, the physical layout of the building, the parking lot. And I thought I'd focus on various kinds of eateries, restaurants, coffee shops, cafeterias. So I'd also analyze where you order your food, where you eat, and so on.
Wait, I thought you were going to come up with a hypothetical business plan for an amusement park. Isn't that what you emailed me last week? I could have sworn. Oh, I'm thinking of a Tom from another class, Tom Benson. Sorry.
No problem. I did email you my idea too, though.
Oh, that's right. I remember now. Restaurants, yeah.
So here's my question. I read something about service standard that kind of confused me. What's the difference between service design and service standard?
Service standard refers to what a company, employees, are ideally supposed to do in order for everything to operate smoothly. The protocols to be followed.
Oh, okay.
So backing up, service design is, think of the cafeteria here on campus. There are several food counters, right? All with big, clear signs to help you find what you're looking for. Soups, salads, desserts. So you know exactly where to go to get what you need. And when you're finished picking up your food, where do you go?
To the cash registers.
And where are they?
Right before you get to the seating area.
Exactly. A place that you would logically move to next.
You know, not every place is like that. This past weekend was my friend's birthday, and I went to a bakery in town to pick up a cake for her party. And the layout of the place was weird. People were all in each other's way, standing in the wrong lines to pay, to place orders. Oh, and another thing, I heard this bakery makes really good apple pie, so I wanted to buy a slice of it too.
Okay.
There was a little label that said apple pie, where it's supposed to be, but there wasn't any left.
And that's what's called a service gap. Maybe there wasn't enough training for the employees, or maybe they just ran out of pie that day. But something's wrong with the process, and the service standard wasn't being met.
Okay, I think I get it. Anyway, Since part of the requirements for the term project is to visit an actual place of business, do you think I could use our cafeteria? They seem to have a lot of the things I'm looking for.
Well, campus businesses like the cafeteria or bookstore don't quite follow the kinds of service models we're studying in class. You should go to some other local establishment, I'd say.
I see.
But just call the manager ahead of time so they aren't surprised.
Why does the student go to see the professor?
So this is kind of a typical question that you're going to have. Number one question is going to be all the time like this. Why does the student go to see the professor? Why does the student go to see the, let's say, librarian? I always say that when you are doing the listening part, the first 2 lines of your listening and the last 2 lines of your listening is the most important part. You are definitely going to have question from those ones. So if you're right now taking notes, please take note on this part, that first 2 lines of the listening part and the last 2 lines of the listening part, they always contain a question. So how we are going to deal with this one? Why does the student go to see the professor? So this student basically has a term project, okay, for his semester or something like that. He is over there to ask the professor about 2 questions, right? Well, he was a little bit, let's say, dubious and doubtful about 2 terminologies, like the service standard and the service design. And that was the reason that he was over there to ask those questions. So, number 1, it says over here, choice A. So that's what we understand. All the time, please do that one. Please answer the question in your own words before going to the choices. That's going to be the best that you can do. To find out all the requirements for the project, for a project, is he over there to ask for the requirements? Is he over there to say that what I need for this project? I don't think so. So that's not going to be the right answer for us. To discuss a service gap at a restaurant. Well, of course, we're talking about the service gap. There was one part in the late part of the conversation that we were talking about the service gap, but it was just an example at the end of the conversation to get the definition of the service gap, to know this terminology, let's say. But it was not the reason that the student went to see the professor. So I don't like this one too. To get help understanding concepts relevant to his project. Isn't it the same thing that we discussed about it? Isn't it the fact that this student went to see this professor to make his mind a little bit clearer about what is going on, about the concepts, about his project, about the service standard and the service design, and at the end of the conversation, the service gap. So I really like C on this one. To get help with designing a business plan. Is he going to be a businessman? Is he designing a business plan? Is he asking the professor over there to help him have a business plan for a job that he's going to have? No, it's not going to be the right one. So the right answer for question number 1 is going to be choice A. As you see all the time, it is paraphrased, and it's related to the first part, first 2 lines or 3 lines of the listening that you have. So let's go right now with question number 2 on this matter.
Why does the professor mention a student in another class?
Okay. Why does the student mention another student in another class? Because when he first went to the professor, I think that misunderstood him. He said that, oh, you're another Tom. I sent you the, let's say, email or something, or you were supposed to work on another project. So it was kind of misunderstanding between the professor and the student because the professor was thinking about another Tom. So let's go to the right now choices. That's our understanding. That's our answer in our mind about this question. To describe an interesting topic for a project? No, it's another Tom in another class. So I don't like A. A is definitely not the answer. To explain the cause of her initial, means first, confusion. That's the same thing that we, guessed about it. So I really like choice B. Let's go with choice C, to point out that she has not received emails from all her students yet. This can be a very good bad answer, but it's not the right one. The lady, the professor, was not pointing out that she hasn't received emails from all of her students. She had just a let's say, moment of confusion between two Toms in two different classes. So that's going to go away too. To indicate, to show that she has several students doing project about restaurants. We don't know about that one. We know that it was just a confusion. It was just a misunderstanding of this professor about the two individuals in two different classes. So the right answer for question number 2 is going to be choice B on this matter. Let's go with question number 3. And as a matter of fact, these questions are called detailed information. Of course, you're going to be asked about the detail of the, let's say, conversation on TOEFL exam.
Why does the professor talk about the cafeteria on campus?
Okay, why does the professor talk about the cafeteria on campus? So I think we talked about the cafeteria on campus on 2 occasions. One of them was at last that he gave. He said that it's not a good example if you want to just see the rigmarole and the process, the protocols, or the service standard, because the service model in the campus is, very different than the local places. That was one of them, and the other one was about the service design. That you go to a place, you, let's say, order your food from somewhere, you pay somewhere, you eat it somewhere, and it is pretty much organized, let's say. So we're going to find out those ones. Let's see. To give an example of an effective service design. Yes, exactly. She gave an example about the cafeteria to show the service design, in fact. So this can be a very good one. To illustrate, to show how service standards can inform service design. Was she trying to show the link between the service standard and the service design? No, she was just giving an example about the service design. So I don't like B. It's a very, very tempting choice, in fact. But when you're reading it, please explain it to yourself so that you can understand it much better, because it's a very, very misleading one. To help the man understand a service problem. When she was giving the example over there about the service design, there was no problem about that. It was just a hypothetical situation. So, no. To illustrate the concept of a service gap, no. For showing the concept of the service gap, the student provided an example about the bakery. So I don't like this one too. I think the right choice for this question is going to be choice A. So let's go with question number 4.
What do the speakers imply about the bakery the student went to recently?
Okay. What do the speakers imply about the bakery the student went to recently? So the student went to a bakery recently, but the service standard and the service design had some problems over there. It's very crowded. There was a lot of confusion over there, and these kind of things. So let's go to the choices to understand it much better. The apple pie he bought there was not as good as it usually is. He didn't talk about the quality of the apple pie. As a matter of fact, he talked about it. He said that that place is very famous for their apple pie, but he didn't say that it was not as good as it is usually. So I don't think it's going to be A. The bakery service design was inefficient. It was not working in a good way, and absolutely, yes, that was one of the facts that we talked about it. They talked about it on the listening part. The bakery needs additional employees to fix a service gap. Did we talk about getting more employees, having the employees in a way that it's not adequate, it's not enough? No, we didn't talk about that one too. The bakery didn't meet a service standard. Absolutely. So that choice B and D is going to be the answer for question number 4, basically on this matter. As I always say to you guys, you have to guess before answering to the questions. If you guess, there is basically no way that they can trap you. So before every question that you are answering, please guess about it. Ask yourself, what did I listen over here? What is in my mind about this part? Please consult your notes. If you're a note-taker type of a student, please consult your notes. They are going to be super beneficial for you. So let's go with the last question on this part.
What does the professor say the student should do for his project?
Okay, what does the professor say the student should do for his project? So he has to go somewhere, to a restaurant, to a bakery, to a cafeteria or something like that, and see the service standard and the service design over there. And the student asked that if he can do, let's say, these sightseeing, this field, let's say, seeing basically in the university, on the campus, and the teacher said that, the professor said that it's not going to be a good idea because the protocols and the model of the service that we are having on the campus is very different than the normal and local places. So he has to go and see a restaurant, basically. Compare an on-campus service model with an off-campus one. Was that the thing that the professor said to him to do? To see how a restaurant works on the campus and how a restaurant works off the campus and compare those ones with each other? I don't think so. So choice A would go away. Interview the service manager and employees at the cafeteria. No, he's not going to go and interview anybody. He's just going to see how the service standard and service design of a restaurant works. But he has to call them beforehand. That was the thing that the professor said. Recommend service improvements at the cafeteria and the bookstore? No, I don't think so. Is he going to suggest some service improvements for some places? I don't think so. Leaves us with choice D. I hope that we are going to have a very good answer in choice D. Otherwise, we're going to be in trouble. Analyze the service design of a nearby restaurant. Absolutely, that's the thing. He's going to go and see the service design of a local place, a nearby restaurant. It can be, but it shouldn't be on the campus. It should be off the campus, he said, as she said, because the service model is very different. So the right answer for question number 5 is going to be choice D. By this means, the first conversation is done for us, and we are going to go next with a lecture. Thank you.